This appears to be a large plastic bowl. I don't know why we have it, how it got here, and I fear that when we pass away, our sons and their wives will not be fighting over it. It's just one of the many countless items that have quietly accumulated over the years, taking up not just physical space, but mental space as well. In today's video, we're tackling a tough topic that gets harder with age, clearing the clutter from our homes. Jill's parents passed away recently after living in their house for 50 years, and now Jill and her sister Heidi are preparing it for sale. They're sifting through decades of stuff. I mean treasures. The sheer volume is overwhelming. Am I an expert at decluttering? No. In fact, we're currently experiencing an influx of items. Beautiful glassware, plateware, stemware, and every other kind of ware you can imagine. And yes, we have this potentially useless thing, a large plastic bowl that somehow found its way into our house. But I've become obsessed with this topic because it doesn't seem fair to saddle our children with this sort of treasure trove. So I've scoured the internet, I've consulted ChatGPT, I've delved into a concept introduced by some of you called the Swedish death clean, and most importantly, I've read your comments on this inconvenient truth. We don't like to throw stuff away. So here are 7 practical tips to declutter your life. Let's dive right in. We all have that drawer, closet, or even a room filled with items that we haven't touched in years. And when it comes time to clean, we hesitate. Why? Because each item seems to have a story, a memory, or a just-in-case scenario attached to it. It's easy to confuse the experiences tied to an object with the object itself, making it feel like letting go would erase those experiences. Marie Kondo's bestseller, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, brought this concept into the mainstream. She encourages us to reflect on whether an item has fulfilled its purpose. Maybe it brought you joy when you first received it, but now it sits forgotten in a closet. Letting go doesn't diminish the value it once had. It simply means it no longer serves you. When I cover delicate subjects such as this one, viewers often share their experiences. One viewer shared how they dealt with this process after losing a loved one. My mom died at 94. Her whole life, she said, I don't want to leave a mess behind for anyone. She taught me to question everything I own, and that's exactly what I'm doing. It's free. Stories like this remind us that decluttering is not about erasing the past, but about respecting it while making space for the present. I know a few years ago, I was rummaging through the garage and I stumbled upon this really old typewriter. Nostalgia washed over me, but then reality set in. I hadn't thought about this typewriter in several decades. Plus, when I used it to write papers in college, those papers generally sucked and earned terrible grades. That typewriter wasn't sparking joy. It was just occupying space and bringing up unpleasant reminders. I realized that holding on to it wasn't honoring my past at all. It was just cluttering my present. So tip number 1 is question every item you own by asking, why do I have this? And if it doesn't serve a purpose or spark joy, thank it for its time and let it go. Quick favor, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button. I do appreciate you watching. And if you want to share what you're doing to declutter your life, you can do so in the comments. Let's move on to our second point and shed some light on how to get started. When you look at an entire house filled with items, the sheer scale of the task can feel paralyzing, but you don't need to tackle everything at once. Start small, like with a plastic bowl. I legit don't know why this is in my house. Even one small accomplishment can feel like a win, motivating you to keep going. Dana White, who wrote the book Decluttering at the Speed of Light, emphasizes focusing on visible spaces first, like things you can see, such as kitchen counters or coffee tables. She explains that these quick wins provide immediate gratification and create momentum to tackle longer areas. The key is to start where you'll see the difference most clearly. It's an instant morale booster. One viewer's story echoed this strategy. My dad started chipping away at my mother's 50 years of clutter after she passed. It started with one room, everything he could see, then a closet, then another room. Now it's nearly done, and I'm so proud of him. This is a powerful reminder that small steps can lead to big progress over time. For my very favorite first wife, Jill, it's the junk drawer in our kitchen. It was that chaotic mess of batteries, pens, her magnifying glass because neither of us could see anything, and old takeout menus, even though everything is online. She spent 20 minutes or 20 hours organizing, I don't know. But that small victory gave her the confidence to move on to a closet. Each success builds on the last. And it probably won't surprise you, but I'm no longer allowed in that drawer. Tip 2 is to start small and declutter one area at a time. Focus on visible spaces to build momentum. Here's a question for you. How many times have you held on to something because you might need it one day? That extra set of plates, the tools you haven't used in years, or the pants that haven't fit since the 90s. For many of us, this mindset leads to endless accumulation of items we rarely, if ever, touch. Joshua Becker, author of The More of Less, explains that most items kept for just in case are rarely used. He suggests an empowering mindset shift. Trust yourself to handle future needs without hoarding unnecessary items. Clinging to clutter just in case often creates more frustration than security. One commenter shared how this played out in their family. My sister passed away and she kept everything just in case. Now we're left with closets and storage bins filled with things she never touched. It's heartbreaking, but also a wake-up call for me to live with less. Take, for instance, that infamous box of random tech accessories, chargers, cables, and adapters that nearly everyone has. Yet when it's time to charge a device or pack for a trip, nothing is ever compatible or functional. I had one of those boxes and I decided to sort through it, keeping only the essentials. The rest were donated or recycled. And guess what? I haven't missed them once. Letting go made it easier to find exactly what I need when I need it. And my phone only dies once a week now, which is nice. Tip number 3, let go of just-in-case items. Trust yourself to find solutions when the need arises. Okay, you ready for something not so surprising? Decluttering isn't just about what you already own. It's also about managing what comes into your home. Without a system for new items, even a perfectly decluttered space can quickly become chaotic again. A single impulse buy can snowball into a pile of things you don't need. When I last covered this topic, several viewers mentioned a one-in, one-out rule. For every new item you bring into your home, one item has got to go. This simple strategy forces you to be intentional about purchases and helps maintain balance. It's like an ongoing decluttering process that keeps things in check. One viewer reflected how the rule reshaped their habits. After we moved into our smaller home, the one in, one out rule became essential. It made us really think very, very hard about what we needed and what we didn't. I've started applying this rule to my wardrobe. When I buy something, I get rid of some of Jill's clothing. She doesn't know.
Jill? You here?
I think twice before buying something new, asking myself, is it truly worth trading for something I already own? Tip number 4 is adopt the one in, one out rule to manage incoming items and maintain balance. Decluttering can be an emotional and overwhelming process, which is why having a partner can make all the difference. Whether it's a friend or family member or professional organizer, having someone to offer perspective and encouragement keeps you grounded when the task feels daunting and overwhelming. When Jill and I tackled our basement before our last move, we made a pact to hold each other accountable. There were times when I clung to something just because, and Jill would gently but firmly remind me of our goal. Strangely, when the shoe was on the other foot, Jill couldn't seem to remember the same goal. Go figure. One commenter perfectly captured the power of a decluttering buddy. When my sister and I cleaned out our parents' house, laughed, cried, and sometimes argued, but having each other made it bearable. I couldn't have done it alone. Jill and her sister Heidi are experiencing the same dynamic. They laugh, they cry, and ultimately Jill comes home with yet another box. Tip number 5 is find a decluttering buddy to provide accountability and support throughout the process. One of the hardest parts of decluttering is dealing with sentimental items like photos, letters, keepsakes, which hold so much emotional value that it feels impossible to part with them. We often fear that letting go of the physical object means letting go of the memory itself. But what if you could preserve memories without keeping the physical item? Scanning old letters and photos to create digital albums is a great way to preserve the past while reducing physical clutter. There's so many apps out there like Google Photos or Legacy Box that can make the process easier and that can help you organize your files so they're simple to access and enjoy. Plus, digitizing offers protection against potential loss from events like floods or fires, things like that. Inspired by a friend, I began digitizing my family's collection of photos. The process was time-consuming, but unexpectedly therapeutic, because as I sorted through pictures of vacations, milestones, and all these everyday moments, really brought back so much joy. Now everything is neatly organized and available at the click of a button, and it's no longer taking up a lot of space in storage boxes. I'm also digitizing old mentions of my name from running events, like newspapers listing race participants. Let's be honest, my boys probably won't care about those, but at least they won't have to dig through piles of paper to find them. Tip number 6, digitize sentimental items to preserve memories without the physical clutter. Finally, let's delve into the concept of the Swedish death clean, or dustening. Despite its somber name, the practice is liberating and a thoughtful way to declutter with your loved ones in mind. It's about taking responsibility for your possessions now, so your family isn't left to navigate the emotional and physical burden of them later. Margareta Magnusson, author of The Gentle Art of the Swedish Death Cleaning. She explains that this process isn't about preparing for death. It's about living intentionally and focusing on what truly matters. It's an act of love for your family, giving them the gift of fewer decisions and more clarity when the time comes. A viewer introduced me to this concept after her parents passed away. She shared how overwhelming it was to sift through decades of accumulated belongings while grieving. Inspired, she began her own Swedish death clean, curating her possessions with care. She told me, it's not just about what you leave behind, it's about how you live now. By letting go of what no longer served her, she found more peace and joy in her own space. And that sounds pretty good to me. So tip number 7 is embrace the Swedish death clean as a way to declutter intentionally and leave a thoughtful legacy. Okay, so I think I've given you 7 actionable tips, but here's a bonus. The emotional benefits of decluttering beyond the practical benefits. Decluttering has a profound emotional reward structure. A study by UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives and Families found that clutter can increase stress and decrease overall life satisfaction. By reducing the clutter around us, we can create a calmer, more peaceful environment. Decluttering also helps us reconnect with what truly matters. As we let go of the excess, we make space literally and figuratively for relationships, hobbies, and experiences that bring joy for us. To hear my final thoughts, decluttering is more about just creating a tidy home. It's about living intentionally, reducing stress, and ensuring our loved ones aren't burdened by our possessions. By questioning your belongings, starting small, letting go of just-in-case items, adopting the one-in, one-out rule, finding accountability partners, digitizing memories, and embracing the Swedish death clean, you can transform not only your home, but your mindset. So take that first step. Open one drawer, clear one shelf, or tackle one box, because in the end, it's not the things we own that define our lives. It's the memories we create and the love we share with others. Thank you for watching.